Hey guys, welcome back to basically a beginner's guide for saber collecting. This is part 2. Now, part 1 we discussed first deciding what you wanted the saber for, what kind of saber you wanted. If you haven't watched that video yet, click in that icon. It should be right, I think it'll be on this side. Yes, and it should be one of the videos that'll be linked up here. Now we're going to move on to step 2, which is deciding on which saber company to buy from. And there are several of them out there. I'm going to focus on kind of what I consider to be the top 4 right now that I've either bought from or interested in. That's going to be Ultra Sabers, Saber Forge, Electrum Saber Crafts, and Vader's Vault. There are others. You can research those. That's actually going to be the first thing I recommend is do research. On all of the different saber companies, do research. Excuse me. Look at their websites, read about their websites, go to YouTube. I can't talk to. Go to YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos about them, but definitely do your research. This kind of ties into step 1 when you're kind of deciding what you want your saber for. You want to look at all the different options these different saber companies offer, because they all do their sabers a little differently in different ways. Personally, the one I tend to recommend for first-time buyers would be Ultra Sabers for a multitude of reasons. One, they're probably cheaper. It's a good way to jump into the saber collecting pool. It's a little cheaper because they don't make you pay for everything if you don't want it. A lot of the other saber companies, you might pay as much for the same thing, but they don't give you the option of whether you get it or not, like a recharge for it. A Saber Forge saber, and I think like a Vader's Vault saber, and I think even Electrum Saber, they all come with a recharge port installed whether you want it or not, whereas Ultra Sabers gives you the option of having the recharge port or not having the recharge port. I personally don't get it. Don't feel like I need the money for it. Spend the money for it. And there's other things like that too that Ultra Sabers has as an option that the others kind of make you pay for. Saber Forge comes with a blade plug. Maybe I don't want a blade plug. Maybe I want to save that $5 or $10, you know? And they're a good place to start. You can get a complete saber for less money. Like the Ultra Sabers Graphics I can get for a little over $300, whereas the Saber Forge one's going to cost me about $550. The Vader's Vault one could range from $500, $600, $700 depending on the options you get with it. So also look and notice that the different saber companies tend to have different tiers. For instance, are you getting a stunt saber, a saber with no sound? Are you getting a saber with what kind of sound? Ultra Sabers has different options. They have their Obsidian Light sound, which still takes AAA batteries, which I don't recommend because they drain quickly. Or you have your Premium sound, which takes the lithium-ion batteries, which are rechargeable, and it will come with a charger, which I do recommend. And they also have their Emerald, which allows you to change blade colors, but you have to hook it up to a computer to do that. And then they have their Diamond, which is their top tier. I don't have an Emerald or a Diamond just because they seem cost-wise counterproductive for what I want them to do. I tend to have a blade color in mind for a saber when I get it. But there are a couple other companies that do easier saber switchings, blade color switchings, which I'm looking into. I'll get to that when I get to them. But Ultra Sabers is really good. They're a really good jumping in point. They've got some really good designs. They, of course, make the Prophecy, which is still my favorite hilt. They have a lot of designs, which I covered in my first video when I was talking about more basic hilts. They do a lot of those that I have, which are good for spinning, good for dueling. Ultra Sabers, another good reason to go with Ultra Sabers first, in my opinion, is they have a much shorter turnaround time than the others. Most of the saber companies have a turnaround time measured in months. They may measure it in weeks, but they're measuring it by like 12 to 16 to 20 weeks, some of them more than that. Ultra Sabers, I've literally had sabers ship out the next day. That doesn't always happen, but it's usually within 3 or 4 days my order is shipping out. And I would much rather get a saber in just a handful of days, especially when I was first starting out. You don't want to get all hyped up, finally order your first saber, and wait 7 months for it. Or in Saber Forge's case, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere up in there, sometimes longer, depending. Instead, I'd rather get it in a week, maybe 2. Occasionally, Ultra Sabers does, it has a week or 2 it takes if something's going on and they're crowded, and maybe a new movie came out or they're doing a raffle. Which brings me to another reason I like Ultra Sabers. They do a lot of sales and raffles They do sales where they do 10% off, 15% off. You know, spend $600 and get a free Initiate Saber. Spend $1,000, get a free mystery box. And they combined a lot of these deals together. You can get free shirts, free Saber spinners, if that's still a thing at this point. Those little spinners that were popular for like sometime in 2016, 17, I don't know. So they do a lot of good deals there, and you can save a lot of money doing that. And then they also do their raffles, which is usually if you spend a certain amount of money with them, you'll get entered into a raffle. It's usually $250. Every one I've been in so far has been $250. And then, of course, you have to be a forum member to do it, but that just gives you a good reason to join their forum, which is another reason I recommend them. They do have their own Saber forums with a lot of really good people, including myself. We're always there to help, answer questions, or just chit-chat and talk about Star Wars and non-Star Wars related things. They're pretty loose for the most part with what they let us talk about. It's a fun place, and we'll answer any questions we can. But I've won, I'd say 5 or 6 free sabers in their raffles. I'd say I have about a half ratio. I think I've won in about half the raffles I've been in, personally. Right around there. That's how I got my Bellicose, actually, that I'm really proud of. And my Dominic's V3 right here, this one right here was a raffle prize, Guardian Blue. So, of course, that's also when I won a Monarch one time, which, the Monarch. Saberforge also has some advantages. They take longer, but I do feel their quality is a little higher. They're like a step up to me. The metal feels a little better. It's different. It's a different... Saberforge sabers have a different feel to them. And a good example would be to look at two similar hilts. The Ultra Sabers Archon V3.1 and the Saberforge Exalted. I've done a comparison video on these. If you haven't watched it, I'll probably put it up there too. You should. The Exalted one, I'll tell you now. But it's a good comparison video. This one feels better in your hands. This one feels like a movie prop. A good movie prop, but a movie prop. This one feels like it could actually have a beam shoot out of it. It feels real, like the way I would imagine a real lightsaber would feel. It's got a little more... it's a little more solid. I don't really know how to quite put it, but it feels a little more real, if that makes sense. They are a little more expensive. Although, personally, I prefer their apprentice hilts. Anyway, this is my only elite hilt I have from them. I tend to buy their apprentice hilts. I like those better. But they also do sales as well. Saberforge does sales. They do 10% off, 15% off. Usually 10% off, but they do 15% off a couple times a year. They'll usually have a good Black Friday sale. They'll usually do a good Father's Day sale because the guy who runs the site is a dad himself. And that's a good time to buy as long as you don't mind the waiting period. They also have crystal reveal sabers, which are nice, where you can actually open it up and there's a crystal hidden in there. They have a new Prodigal Son that's a crystal saber. It looks really good. I want it really bad. There was something else I wanted to touch on. And they offer weathering. Of all four of these, the only one that doesn't offer weathering is Ultra Sabers. They don't have a weathering option, which I wish they did. Saberforge offers all sorts of weathering options and customizable options for your saber. It will increase the lead time on how long it takes to get completed, but the weathering does tend to look really good, and I don't have my talon here. You can see the weathering on the talon right here. It gives it, in my opinion, either an old look, like a relic, or just a good Sith look, like the talon has. And the Saberforge sabers do have the recharge port built in. This is the kill key. This is the recharge. This is the Sabercore 2.0. They don't offer it anymore. They do a 2.5 and a 3.0 now. The 2.5 comes with a kill key. There we are. These are the two brands I have bought from, and I haven't really had problems with either of them. Ultra Sabers does have really good customer service. They answer quickly, they're very polite, they're very considerate, and they work fast to fix any problems you might have. Especially one of their customer service reps, I think it's Marlena. She's really good. I like Marlena. I've spoken with her a couple times because I've had little minor quibbles, but it's stuff they've always fixed immediately. They helped me. Saberforge, I've never had a problem with their customer service, but the couple times I've talked to them, they've been pretty good. So yeah, I can't really complain. I haven't talked with them as much. I only have 3 Saberforge sabers, whereas I've had, I don't even know how many Ultra Sabers at this point. I've had a lot of them. Another one that I haven't owned yet that I'm looking forward to trying is Vader's Vault. They are expensive, but they look very top notch. I think they might even be a step up from Saberforge. I don't have one in hand. I can't say that with any validity. But just from what I've seen, it looks like they're maybe the next step up. They do have a couple sabers I'm interested in. I really like their graphics. I like the fact that it actually activates by one of the top buttons instead of the activation box, which I think to me is more movie accurate. The hilt itself looks more movie accurate than the Ultra Saber's graphics. Looks really nice. I've never talked with them, so I'm not sure how their customer service is. I know they do have long lead times. Months and months and months of lead times has been my understanding from what I've read and the reviews I've seen. They also have another saber called the Revan, which is based on Darth Revan's lightsaber from the Knights of the Old Republic games, and it looks really good. It has several options. I like the Elite version of it, and they have different options. They have weathering options, they have powder coating options, and they have an option, of course, where you can change the blade color just by pressing on buttons, and you can rotate through the blade colors just by pressing buttons. I believe they have different, no, they don't have tiers. Saberforge has different tiers. Saberforge, I forgot to mention that when I was talking about Saberforge. They have different tiers. They have a warrior tier, which is a stunt saber, a champion tier, which is sound with one blade color, and then a hero tier, which has multiple blade color options. I usually go I always go champion tier with them. But there are at least 2 Vader's Vault sabers I want. I do intend to get them eventually. They're just, they're very pricey. I know with the Revan I want the multiple colors, which jacks the price up a little bit. With their graphics, I'll just need it in blue. I'll just have to decide what blue I want and go with that, and that'll be fine, because it's hard for me to picture graphics in any other color, really. And the last one is Electrum Saber Crafts. I don't really know what to think of them yet. I've watched a couple reviews. City of Sabers has a couple of their sabers, and I've watched his reviews on them, and I've been really impressed with the sabers and his reviews. Their Remnant is really the only one that appeals to me. I don't really care for their others. Even their Evo Flex doesn't really do much for me. Although it looks decent weathered. They do offer, Electrum does offer a weathering option as well. But their Remnant looks really good. I like the emitter on it. It has different options. It can come in like a brass, a copper, or a silver. They also have the ability to change blade colors, and they can actually work with your cell phone. This is a neat concept I haven't seen anybody else do yet, is you can take your cell phone and download an app, and you can actually control functions of the saber from your cell phone. You can change sound fonts, you can change blade colors, all from your cell phone if you want. That's pretty neat. I like that, especially now that I have a phone that can actually probably hold the app. And I like the activation box on it. The activation box is different. Where most sabers have, most of the other companies have, just a little switch, be it one that's raised like Ultra Sabers, or one that sits more flush with the saber like Saberforge. Theirs is completely different. Theirs is a activation box, but it's not a big bulky one like, say, the original trilogy hilts. It's almost flush with the handle, and it's touch sensitive. It even has lights hidden under it. You can pick what the face cover looks like. They have several different options for that. You can pick the color underneath it. You can pick what color the lights that light up when you're triggering it are. It's very customizable, and you can actually do different things with it just by messing around with the activation box. And I like the way that activation box looks. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to pick up that Remnant. They don't have any other sabers that really interest me at the moment, but I like that Remnant. So if that's something that interests you, just because it's different, it's tech savvy, and I think the saber just looks good. I wouldn't recommend that as a first saber though, but it is an option you should look at. Again, my main thing would be to research, watch reviews from all 4 companies and other companies. There's other saber companies out there. Research. Check out their websites. That'll give you a good chance to look at all the different hilts they have. See what kind of hilt jumps out at you. And then make your choice from there. But I wouldn't just jump right into it. I would always do your research, read the feedback. And that's pretty much it. That's mainly what I wanted to outline. It's kind of all over the place. I really need to script these things out better. I really need to script these things out, period. But those are the main 4 that I've either bought from or interested in. Ultra Sabers, Saber Forge, Vader's Vault, and Electrum Sabers. Electrum Sabers wouldn't be on there if it wasn't for their Remnant, but I really like their Remnant hilt. And then Vader's Vault is really the one I want to go to next. I really want to... I really think they're going to be a step up even from Saber Forge, and I'm really anxious to get my hands on one of their hilts, either their Revan or their Graphics. Anyway, this has been part 2. Next, we'll be moving on to part 3, where we will be talking about blade types and blade colors. That way, it's basically about choosing what kind of blade and blade color you want for your saber. Anyway, this is Prowl 1701. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. My goal right now is to reach 1,000 subscribers. I want those quadruple digits. Help me out. Click that like button. If for some reason you think there is something I can do to make the channel better, let me know, like rambling less, being a little more concise. Let me know in the comments. Positive feedback, negative feedback. I don't mind at all. I love feedback. It helps me make the channel better. And of course, most importantly, thank you for watching.